Wala. Ano si...
Wala. Ayaw niya. Nasabihan na.
Send a message.
I don't know, ma'am. Nag-sick.
Oh. Right, okay. Send them a wee message then. Okay. Alright, same
Yeah,
time.
perfect. That'll do well. Thank you, Ian. See you then.
Everybody.
Roland and Christian go home.
Oh, there. Oh, okay. That's no problem at all. Well, we'll keep going anyway. First of all, we can get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea if you would like.
Hindi daw magka-free.
Tea or coffee, you can go. Work away.
Ay,
Oh,
dalawa.
tip ka na.
Kape.
Ang lady.
No birthday, sir.
Sorry, no birthday today.
Birthday, sir.
Anyone's birthday here?
No.
Oh, there's coffee here. Sorry.
Sila yung birthday, sila yung pala yung boss.
Tingin nga sa atin.
Hindi ko makikita.
Tingin nga sa atin.
There might be a spoon in there.
Keriwin ba? Kita tayo na rin sa amin. Ano dyan? Tingin sa atin.
Hindi ko nakita. Hindi nakita ko yung tosap. Hindi ko nakita.
Hello.
Break.
Ayun na, kapag kami rito, kapag tayo rito eh. Kung dati dadali yan eh. Lovely biscuit.
They're nice biscuits.
Biscuit.
Hindi ko nakita si Raymond. Ano? May magtanong siya? Sino, te? Te? Ah.
Okay, so while we're getting our coffee and our tea, I will explain what we will be doing today. Alright, so today will be my last day here tutoring you, okay? I'm going away to teach over in Spain for a few months, but there's another lady who's going to take my place. She used to be a teacher, so she's a little bit older, but she's very, very nice. Her name is Barbara, so I'll write her name up. Barbara. She goes to my church, so I know her through church. But Barbara will be here and she will carry on what we've been doing, and she will help prepare you for your test. So Barbara should be here from next week onwards. Alright? But what we're going to be doing today is we're going to first of all finish off the listening that we started 2 weeks ago. If you remember, 2 weeks ago we started a listening and we only finished question number 1. So we're going to go through the other questions and then I will give you out what the people are saying and we can do that together. So if you can find, so it says part 2 to start and questions 11 to 16. So it should look like that. Okay. So it says on it, part 2, questions 11 to 16. Here comes the coffee. Thank you very much. First is
Oh, okay.
Iya.
Part 2. So that's it there. That was perfect. So you're looking for this page. You should have the first answers written in. You might have it written in your book. That's right. Okay. So we're going to start with the listening, and then we will think about some of the words that they use, and then we will do a reading together. Okay? Let's see. So can anyone tell me what the answers were to these two? We did these 2 weeks ago. Can anyone give me one of the answers to number 11?
Language.
11? Language, good. And 12? Customs. Now, can anyone tell me what are customs? What does that mean? What are customs? So we know language is what language you speak. English, Filipino, French, Spanish. Customs is a little bit different. Customs is how people do things in a country. So, for example, what time you eat at would be a custom. So, I'm going over to Spain, and in Spain they eat quite late. Normally restaurants serve food from 8 o'clock onwards, but here in Northern Ireland our custom is to eat around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So that's customs, what you do in a country. So I'm just going to play the tape. Don't worry about answering any questions. It's just to remind you what the tape's all about, okay? So if you just listen out, what the man is talking about is how it can be difficult to move to another country. So I'm just going to play it through, and then we're going to look at question number 2. So
You will hear an extract from a talk given to a group who are going to stay in the UK. Good evening and welcome to the British Council. My name is John Parker, and I've been asked to talk to you briefly about certain aspects of life in the UK before you actually go there. So I'm going to talk first about the best ways of making social contacts there. Now, you might be wondering why it should be necessary. After all, we meet people all the time. But when you're living in a foreign country, it can be more difficult. Not just because of the language, but because customs may be different. If you're going to work in the UK, you will probably be living in private accommodation, so it won't be quite so easy to meet people. But there are still things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, you can get involved in activities in your local community. Join a group of some kind. For example, you'll probably find that there are theatre groups who might be looking for actors, set designers, and so on. Or if you play an instrument, you could join music groups in your area. Or if you like the idea of finding out about local history, there'll be a group for that too. These are just examples. And the best place to get information about things like this are either the town hall or the public library. Libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions nowadays. They're not just confined to lending books, although that's their main role, of course.
Okay, so you didn't have to answer any questions there. That was just to remind you about what the person is talking about. So he's talking about moving to the United Kingdom and how things can be different. So we've answered question number 1. So we'll look at question number 2. Now, question number 2 says, which types of community group does the speaker give examples of? So, can anyone tell me, what does the term community mean? Does anyone know when it says community groups? We know that a group is when people meet together. So here we have a group of people. Community, does anyone think they know, Pedro?
Surrounding.
Surrounding community.
Environment.
What were you thinking, Vincent?
Environment.
Environment. So community is really, it's a group of people who live in the same place. Okay, so we have a community of people in Kilkeel. A community is really a group of people living in the same place. Okay, so a community. You might hear that come up. Community. So it's a group of people live in the same place. So you might hear people talk about the English community or the Irish community. In the same place. So the question says, which types of community group does the speaker give examples of? So the speaker is talking about, if you want to meet people in a different country, you should join a group. And he gives examples of different groups. So the first one's given to us, theatre. Theatre groups. What would someone do in a theatre group?
Live show.
Live shows, good. So theatre is anything to do really with acting, or singing, or dancing. That's all theatre. So in Belfast there's a big theatre called the Grand Opera House. You may have heard of it. We theatre in Kilkeel. But if you go to somewhere like London, there is an area of London that has lots and lots of theatres, and they do different musicals. So you may have heard of musicals like The Wizard of Oz or things like that. So we're listening out here for different types of groups. Okay, so I'm gonna rewind it back. So he mentions 2 more. So theatre is one group. See if you can hear any others.
To work in the UK, you will probably be living in private accommodation, so it won't be quite so easy to meet people. But there are still things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, you can get involved in activities in your local community. Join a group of some kind. For example, you'll probably find that there are theatre groups who might be looking for actors, set designers, and so on. Or if you play an instrument, you could join music groups in your area. Or if you like the idea of finding out about local history, there'll be a group for that too.
Okay, so I will play it again for you to listen.
Be living in private accommodation, so it won't be quite so easy to meet people. But there are still things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, you can get involved in activities in your local community. Join a group of some kind. For example, you'll probably find that there are theatre groups who might be looking for actors, set designers, and so on. Or if you play an instrument, you could join music groups in your area. Or if you like the idea of finding out about local history, there'll be a group for that too.
Okay. So one of the groups we had was theatre. Does anyone think they heard another group mentioned?
Music designer.
Music?
Instrument.
Good. So it talks about if you like playing instruments. So an instrument is a piano or a guitar instrument. You can join a music group. So there's one, music. So you can just write down music. Good. Now, set designer, I think they mentioned just when they were talking about theatre. So does anyone know what a set designer does? A set designer? A set designer is someone who makes the stage look so where the people perform look good.
Design.
So they design the set. So the set is really the stage. But that was mentioned with the theatre. Theatre. So we have theatre, we have music. The last one.
History.
Brilliant, Benji, yes. History, or it says local history. So history or local history. Now, when we talk about local history, where are we talking about local history? Where's local? Local means nearby. Local means nearby. So if we were talking about local history, we would be talking about history that happened near Kilkeel. So we wouldn't be talking about the Second World War in Germany. That's not local history. Local history means it happened nearby. So history or local history, either of those are brilliant. Okay. Now I'm just gonna give you some words that can be helpful for you. Okay. Now at the very start of that tape, the man talks about living in private accommodation, so living in maybe an apartment or a house. And he says, if you're going to work in the UK, you will probably be living in private accommodation. Can anyone remind me, what does probably mean? Probably. Probably. Now, if we're thinking along the lines of percentages, is probably
Not sure.
25%, not really sure, or 75%, so yes, it will happen. So if I said I will probably go swimming today, what percentage, what is the chance I will go swimming?
Maybe 25%.
25? Probably is actually 75%. It's actually quite high. So
Not sure.
probably would be about 75% I will go swimming. Okay, so just remember that probably, I will probably do something means I will likely do it. So probably means you to do something. Likely to do something. So if you think about percentages, about 75%. 100% means I will do it. There is no doubt. So I will touch the table. That's 100%. Probably is just a little bit lower. It's about 75%. So that's helpful when you listen. Probably. That means you're likely to do something. It also mentions you can get involved in activities. So if you're living in the UK, you can get involved in activities. Get involved is use if you're doing something. So to get involved is to do something. So if you think about, if you get involved in a sport, you go to training, you play matches. If you get involved, it means you do something. So if you get involved in activities, it means you join different groups, different clubs. Get involved. So that those two go together. Get involved really means you do something. Get involved. Good. And then last one, and then we'll move on to the next question. What this word means. Now, this is quite tricky in English because we also have the word to with one O. So I'll give you the example. It says, if you like the idea of finding out about local history, which was our answer, there will be a group for that too. So someone might say to you, I like football, and you might say, me too, perfect, or I like that too. So two with two O's means also or as well. So I like that too, me too. So when you see the two O's, it means really also. This to here is used more often. So for example, I am going to go fishing, that would be to there. But when you see to with an extra O, it means also or as well. To, and it's just pronounced the same. There's no change in the way you say it. Good. Now we're going to go on to the next question, which is the final two. So it says, oh yes, so in English you have two, two, and two. So it's quite confusing.
The number.
Two, yes, perfect. Roy is the number. Two is used most often. Two means also. Lots of words that sound the same. So in this question it says, in which two places, so two the number, can information about community activities be found? So the important word there is place. So we're looking for a place in town. So can anyone think about a place in Kilkeel, in the town? What are some of the places you go to? The Nautilus?
Yeah.
Perfect, the Nautilus Centre, there's a place in town. Any other places?
Mission.
The-
Mission place.
Yep, the Fisherman's
Fisherman
Mission.
Mission.
Perfect. Where do you go shopping? Asda, there's another place. Any other places? charity shop, there's another place. So we're listening for places, different places, okay? I'll rub this out. So 2 places. 2 places. 2 places. So that's number 15 and 16. Okay, so I will play it twice.
Two. These are just examples. And the best place to get information about things like this are either the town hall or the public library. Libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions nowadays. They're not just confined to lending books, although that's their main role, of course.
Okay, I'll play that once more. You have it if you want to think about what this word means, okay? You'll hear it said there, and we're going to think about it in a minute. Broad. But listen out if you haven't got the answers to the questions.
These are just examples. And the best place to get information about things like this are either the town hall or the public library. Libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions nowadays. They're not just confined to lending books, although that's their main role, of course.
Okay. So we're looking for 2 places. 2 places. Town hall, perfect. So the first one is the town hall. Now, we don't have a town hall in Kilkeel, but in Belfast you have the city hall, which is the same thing, and in lots of other towns you have the town hall, which is really a place where you can get information about things. So town hall is perfect, that's the first one. Second one, public library. Public library, or we would just call it the library. The public library. So you know the library is where you get your books and where you can also get DVDs and things like that. So those are the 2 places. Now, did anyone figure out what this word means? Broad. Broad. So it says in there, libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions. Broad. What does broad mean? Broad. Broad in this case means wide. Wide. So the man in the tape says libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions, and what that means is libraries in the UK do lots of different things. So they don't just offer books, but they also offer information about groups. And then he says they're not just confined to lending books. So confined is another word for limited. Limited. So they're not limited to lending books. They do more things. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you out what is called the transcript. So a transcript is what the man was saying. Okay, so this is what he was saying, but written down. So I'm going to give this out, and then we're just going to listen to it together. And you can pick out any words that you don't know. But it's good for you to see what is being said, because sometimes it's hard to understand just by listening. So it's good practice to have
Ano naman yan?
Okay, so this is what he was saying. So I'll let you just read down through it for 5 minutes and then we'll listen to it together at full speed. Okay, so you can take 5 minutes. Words that you would like to know that we haven't covered yet? Difficult ones?
Combine.
To read through it? Would you like some more time?
So,
Yes.
extract
Whereabouts is that?
the first sentence.
First sentence. An extract. Oh yes, so that's what they say at the very start. So it says you will hear an extract from a talk given to a group. An extract is just a piece of information. So when it says an extract, that's just the piece of information that's there on the page. So an extract. I'll write that up just in case you hear that and maybe you get a little bit confused or unsure. So an extract, it's usually, I would actually, so that might be, we use it a pen. So say I allow Benjamin to borrow this marker, I am lending it to him. So the person who gives away what they have is lending. Lending. So lending is like borrowing. Now, lending isn't really used in mostly English. So lending is when you allow someone to borrow something, is really what that means. So to lend, to allow someone to borrow something. To allow someone to borrow something. So what we're going to do now is we're going to listen just through the text again. I'm going to play it at its normal speed. So the man is going to talk quite quickly.